Welcome back, everyone. If you're following along from the previous video, part 1 of secure coding practices with your form, then you know that we've already set up our form. We've done some secure coding practice here by making sure we are validating and sanitizing our code the proper way for taking form information. If you haven't already, go ahead and add your email here, because in this video I'll kind of break down what's to expect when we go to submit our email at the end of this video. But for this video, we're specifically going to focus on styling our form. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this from up here, slide it over here to the side, and I don't really care too much about seeing my form right now in this video, but what we're going to do is just kind of use it to break down what we're looking at. So I'm just going to take this, slide it to the side here, and we'll use it like this. So I'm going to scroll down on my CSS here, and I'm going to make a note. I'm going to say form styling section, and then do a quick save. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how you can style your inputs, style your labels, and then style your form and your button as well. So for your form, let's go ahead and call that element. And remember, we're going to work with properties and values here. So selectors, properties, and values here. So we're going to use our form, and the first thing we're going to do, let's go ahead and change our background color. And I'm going to do E5, E5, E5. So whitish color. We're going to set our padding to 20 pixels as we did with everything else. We're going to give it a border radius of 8 pixels. And we are going to give it a box shadow of 0, 0, and then 10 pixels. So 0 on the x-axis, 0 on the y-axis, and then we're going to give it a 10 pixel shadow depth there. And then I'm going to set the RGB to, if I can do this properly, how about this? Delete this here. And we're going to set it to 0, 0, 0, and then we're going to set it to 0.1 for the box shadow. And then, actually, I'm going to slide this back over here. And we're just going to continue coding from there. We're going to give it a max width. So set the max width, so the maximum width allowed for our form is going to be 500 pixels. And then we're going to set the width itself to 100%. So let's say you set it to 50%, then our form would only be 250 pixels. If we set it to 25%, it'd only be 125 pixels, so on and so forth. So what we're saying is set the width to 100% right here. That's going to be the 500 pixels. And then that's it for the basic form styling. So if you take a look, we see we got this gray box here, it's 500 pixels. Little box shadow there. I want to actually set the box shadow just a little more deeper. Let's see. I'm just going to go ahead and slide this up a little bit just to my preference. You can set it to however you like, and that's fine for me there. The next thing that we're going to do, let's take a look at our form here. We're going to style our let's style our H. Well, no, we don't even have a H2 in there, so we're not going to style our header. That's already styled for us. We're going to go for our labels, right? So let's form label, and then we're going to set the display to block. So we're turning these into block elements. So if you take a look, if we set it to flex, they would be next to each other, but our label, we're going to set the block, so that's going to cause everything to go underneath it because it's its own block now. It's on its own level, it's on its own line. So set the display to block, and then we're going to give it a margin on the bottom, if I can spell, of 5 pixels, and then let's give it a color of 333, and we'll save that. We take a look, we see we have the color, we have that 5 pixel margin down there. Next, let's do, we're going to kind of style things together here in this section. So let's do form input, and then you can go for the type. So we can do type equals text. So when you do that, it's saying anything that has the type of text, right? So remember we set our input up and we did the colon and we did text. That's the type. Same thing for email. We're going to pretty much attack the text, email, and password section. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to put a comma there. I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to paste it 3 times. And then I'm going to set it to password for the third, and then email for the second. And I'm just going to put these on separate lines, and we can begin styling there, because we're going to style all of these the same way at the same time, right? So we're going to give these a width of 90%, because I don't want them to touch the edge or to fall off of the form. So I'm going to give it a width of 90%. We're going to give them a padding of 10% or 10 pixels this time. Then we're going to give them a margin on the bottom of 15 pixels this time. And then we're going to set the border to 1 pixel, solid, and then we're going to do CCC, which is kind of a grayish color if you see there. And then we're going to do a border radius of 4 pixels. And then we're going to set the font size. So this is going to be the size of the font that we're typing into these sections. We can definitely change the size of those if you didn't know. And if we do a quick save, you'll see now we have these bigger input boxes here for our username text, our email text, and our password text. So let's say you don't like this boxy color here or the other box style here. What we can do is you can change your input background to be the same color as your form, right? So let's say I'm just going to take the background here, and then I'm going to say border none, and then I can do border bottom 1 pixel solid, and then I'll do 333 instead of CCC. If you see, we just get these bottom borders here. Or if you want to get rid of this outline line here, then you would just say outline, if I spell it right, outline none. So then that way we can just type here and put what we want without the ugly outline and without too much border. I'm going to remove the border bottom, and I'm just going to leave it as is with the 1 pixel solid, and then the CCC, and then I'm going to take away the background color. That was just an example to show you how you can do that. But I did take the outline off because me personally, I don't like the outline. And then we're going to continue with some styling here. So next, we're going to focus on our text area, right? So this is going to be the area where our users or our end users input their text for the comment that we had in our code. So if you remember, we had text area right here for form, or in the form we have the text area here for the comments. So we're just going to call that element text area. We'll do a quick save, and then we're just going to resize it to vertical. So take a look at it now. You'll see it's the small little scrawny box. We're going to put it to vertical, and then we're going to give it a minimum height of 100 pixels and save it. And now you see we have a nice vertical box there. Next, we're going to style our small text. So remember, we had the text for small, or the element small, with our note to the end user for what we were expecting in each input. So we're going to use form, call that selector small, and we're going to set the property of display to the value block, and then we're going to give it a margin on the bottom of 10 pixels. Go ahead and do a quick save, and then we're going to set the color to black there. So if we go back to our code, now we see we got a little bit of extra space in between those elements there, and our form is starting to come together. Now lastly, we're going to style our button, and then we're going to add a hover effect to it to change the color when we hover over it. So you should be familiar with that at this point, but let's walk through it together. Let's set the width of our button to 100% because we want it to go across the whole form. give it a padding of 10%, and that's going to be top, bottom, left, and right. And then we're going to change our background color, and I picked a color here for ED2BFF, which is a pinkish color. And then we're going to set the border to none. So if we look at it now, it has that ugly border there. I don't want that border, so I'm going to set it to none. And then do a quick save, change the border radius to 4 pixels. You can change the pixel to wherever you prefer. And then I'm going to change the text color to FFF or white. And then change the font size to 16 pixels so it can be uniform with the inputs. And then make sure we change the cursor to pointer, because when we hover over it now, we just see our initial mouse setting there. We're going to change the cursor to pointer. Now, if you see here, you have these different sizes that you can do here. So you see you have grab. So if we hover over it, we'll see the grab hand, things of that nature. We're going to set it to pointer. Of course, you can use whatever you want. You can test it out and play with it however you want. I'm just going to set it to pointer. So now when we hover over it, we see we have the pointer finger. Then I'm going to change the, add a transition here, right? So before I add the transition, I'm going to add a hover effect. So let's go to form button, and then we'll do hover. And remember, I said we're going to change the background color when we hover over this. And I picked E797FF. That's a purple, more pinkish, like bright pinkish color than what we have. So now when we hover over it, you see it just immediately goes over to the next color. Well, let's add a transition. And then what we're transitioning is, there we go. What we're transitioning is the background color, and then we're going to pick a speed for it. So let's do 0.9 seconds, right? So almost a full second to transition that color, and you see you get that really smooth transition there. You can transition this as fast or as slow as you want. I'm going to do 0.3 seconds just to show you, and you see it smooths right into that transition color. You can do 10 seconds if you want it, and then if you see it's going to take 10 seconds to transition that color. So I'm not going to wait the full 10 seconds, and I'm just going to set mine to 0.5 seconds and hover over that. And that's the basic styling for our form document there. In the next video, I'm going to show you what happens when we submit our text. If you haven't already, go ahead and email yourself, copy that token over, and then I'm going to show you what an email looks like when we finally submit text in the next video. So see you in the next video.